Hey anyone, I'm Hawk, and today I want to talk about why PvE and single-player games are superior to PvP games, in my opinion. So, I just want to start with a full disclosure. I have played some PvP games relatively recently. I don't think those types of games are unplayable or terrible. It's just something that I've kind of gotten away from in the last, decade or so. The last thing I played that was PvP was Enlisted, and before that was War Thunder, and those were both pretty recently. I just tried Enlisted recently, and I enjoyed the time I had with it. I just think that PvE and single-player games have way more to offer than any PvP game. The first thing I could think of when talking about the two of these is that PvP games are way more stressful than PvE or single-player games. And moving forward, when I say PvE, I'm gonna just kind of include single-player under that. But PvP games are basically solely run on stress. The whole goal is to be better than everyone else that you're fighting, and the bottom line is that no matter how good you are, there's always going to be someone better. Any video game can be stressful. Quite a few are. Single player, multiplayer, etc. But nothing makes me more mad than human teammates that completely suck, or getting killed by some sweaty basement-dwelling scrub who takes more pride in where they are on a scoreboard than they do their own hygiene. It's rage-inducing. And if your first thought was, get good, to me saying that, then you're probably who I'm talking about. When you get to fight with other players instead of against them, you usually wind up having pretty memorable moments and a generally fun time. Take Call of Duty compared to Helldivers, for instance. Gameplay is very different, but ultimately they're both shooters that involve other people. One of them has cheaters and people who are only focused on getting to the top of the scoreboard and will do literally anything to get there, and the other one has people who are pretty dumb, but that's all part of the fun, and you're figuring out what you're doing, you're making memories with random strangers, and each mission feels like a story, a self-contained story. That's way more than Call of Duty has to offer. And speaking of stories, PvP games generally have no story to speak of, aside from level up and keep playing, which that doesn't really count. There are some games that are PvP focused that have an attempt at a story, like Rainbow Six Siege, but I'm an old school Rainbow Six player and Siege was just an insult the day it came out. But generally, PvP games suck you in with predatory practices that keep you hooked, tapping into the same shit that social media does, literally getting you addicted to the loop with nothing to show for it. At least in PvE games, there's good times, emergent moments, player-driven storytelling, and it's not just pew pew, I got you, let's do it again. Maybe grinding just to get to a higher prestige or unlock a new gun or whatever is enough for you, but it doesn't cut it for me. If you play PvP games for the adrenaline rush of killing or getting killed, that's fine, whatever. Play what you want to play, I'm not the arbiter of what you can or can't enjoy. But I just always look for more out of everything I do and have. I look for lessons, stories, experiences, characters, writing, gameplay, and the only thing PvP games offer is predatory monetization and rage bait. There's also no social pressure, or very little social pressure, in most single-player games, PvE and just single-player in general. Some PvE games can have some social pressure, but usually it's a case of an individual asshole or a few trying to be, sweaties and ruining the game for everybody else. Just boot them or move on, whatever. Just they're best ignored. Like, anyone who thinks about the, quote, meta in Helldivers, for instance, can go to hell. You're there to have fun. Just have fun. PvP games are really solely about competition. They're kind of a one-trick pony, but PvE and single-player games are primarily about fun. If competition is all you're looking for, that's fine, and sometimes it's okay. I mean, whatever. Sometimes I even want it. I'll play Enlisted or War Thunder or whatever the hell. Those are the last two I played recently. But most of the time, if you want more from a game, you're not going to find it in PvP. But yeah, those are my thoughts on PvP and PvE. I think PvE is superior in almost every way. And it seems like a lot of people are kind of coming around to that lately from what I've seen online. It's way less stressful, ultimately. At the end of the day, that's the biggest thing that I've seen a lot of people talking about. It's just a hell of a lot less stressful to fight with people rather than against them. So, if you haven't jumped on the PvE boat, I recommend giving it a shot, and don't discredit single-player games just because they may not have multiplayer elements. Most of the time, it's the single-player games that are winning the awards. So let us know what you think down below.
Hey, thanks for watching.
Give us a like if you enjoyed it, and dislike it if you didn't.
Let us know what you think about the channel.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Tell your mom.